we will call the meeting at 11.
You're on, just make sure your button's up. And then when you're done, somebody just grab me, don't touch it. Very finicky. Also stealing them.
We're gonna, if we wanted to do the last month's minutes first.
I'd make a motion to approve, the minutes from the meeting of February 10th as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I as well. Passed. And then we can move into, unless anybody has anything small, move into what Ollie's got to present.
Question, has anyone talked with Ms. Paul about her membership on the committee? I noticed that you left her name off the list of members.
I have not talked to her.
I'm sorry.
I have not talked to her.
Okay.
I have
Well-
not, I have not.
I mean, I can call her if that's all right. Just inform her that we have bylaws or proposed bylaws that call for a certain level of participation, in-person participation. What do you think?
I think it'd be worth it. At least letting her know.
Okay.
You wanna reach out to her and see
I mean,
if she
you know,
responds?
yeah, I'm comfortable talking with her.
I know they spend a lot of time out of town, so I don't know how
Right.
much she'd be willing, but it's worth asking. I would say, I'd say it's worth asking her
Asking her what?
if she wants to become more involved.
Informing her that she's no longer a member.
Well, unless she wants to be more involved and come to the meetings, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
So there-
okay. In other
there-
words, give her the option.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There are 4 members right now, right?
1, 2, 3, 4.
And then myself.
I got
would be
Jason.
Well, are you a voting member or will you be a voting member?
I am
I
now.
think he should be.
Well,
So
5.
that's 5. So I guess you're telling her she's no longer, or is not a member,
Or an alternate.
or she can be an alternate. Yes, but even an alternate should be in attendance.
Yes, but there's room for 2. I think there's room for 2.
That's correct.
So I'm not giving an option. I'm just in a friendly way informing her that we have
Formalized membership, yes, but if she'd like to be an alternate, she should let us know. But that she should attend the meetings.
Okay.
If I may offer my view on this, she is welcome at all meetings. The information that she may or may not wish to share with us is that's her business. If she shares information, it's welcome. Just, the formality of who is voting and what kind of responsibilities that entails, we are shifting from where we were, which is just fine, that's not the problem. But it's not that she can't be part of this committee. She can also be here as a person who shares information.
Well, anybody's welcome in that regard, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Sure.
John, have you heard anything about the change in law where you can attend the meeting on Zoom, legitimately still vote?
I have not.
We talked about it yesterday at the meeting. Bob brought it up and he quoted a new chapter and verse.
Hmm.
So Mike was reading it. I don't know what the details are, but it may be that you can, certainly as a non-voting member of the public, you can attend online.
Mhm.
You don't have to be here.
But this change indicated you could be a voting member and participate virtually.
That's what I understand.
Okay.
Wouldn't lay my hat on, but
Mhm.
right now that's what I heard.
Okay.
And your fellow trustee has no details.
Oh.
maybe down the same path. Can we put it on a list somewhere to update the website, because the website contains old membership, old information for this committee. And I think that we owe it to the public to make sure that that's accurate, at least the one that I saw a couple days ago. Just codify the membership the way that we said.
I can get with Ashley, because I know she's in the process of doing a major update, and I think at the end of this, I think this year sometime, we're doing a whole township wide update, but yep. I think it's you. Yep.
All right, so you get me instead of Molly today. Molly is in Utah doing rafting and all kinds of outdoor activities. So lucky.
Jealous.
I'm gonna pass this around. She was very organized and provided some guidance to all of us, even giving me what I needed to bring to the meeting, etc. Today she wanted us to make sure that we covered the survey, give a briefing of that. We wanted to make sure you're turning in your park review sheets. We're gonna do the Sonic activity, and then we're gonna talk about the public meeting date and plan for that. So I guess let's start with a survey update. The survey has been posted to Facebook and to the website. We are getting some responses. I think we're somewhere around 20 maybe at this point in time. I didn't check right before I came, but I want to say there's about 20 responses so far.
When did it go up?
Oh, right after your last meeting, I think there was the sign was posted, and then it was out to on the Facebook page. And then I don't know when the email went out, but it does say that Lindsay sent an email out to the township. But Molly asked for confirmation. We don't know what that date is yet.
It's on the Howland Township Facebook page.
Correct.
Is it on the
And it's
website?
on the website.
It is on the township website
Yes.
also,
And I had the email.
and it's on nextdoor.com.
I don't know if it's on nextdoor.com. Did
Yes.
somebody do that? Okay. The signs have been placed at the park, and I also saw the sign just outside your door here when I came in. It says, Jason, that you ordered a sandwich board sign for the recycling bin area.
That's was part of these signs. I did the sandwich board sign, then I got these smaller signs to put. There's 2 large signs at the park, and I think 4 of the small ones in entrance areas. And then this small one here, plus posted on the bulletin board.
So the one thing that hasn't happened yet that we need to discuss today is the mailer. We originally were going to send out a postcard with QR code on it to everyone in the township. We had an estimate that I gave to Molly from back when we did the survey in 2022, but prices have gone up significantly since then. So when Jason and I don't know who else was it, Ashley, somebody got in touch with the printer to print it, and it was more expensive than what we anticipated because we had based it on what we had estimated in 2022. So the money that was in Jason's budget to do the mailer is not enough to cover what the cost would be today. So that has not gone out. So we need to discuss if we still want to do that. We need to discuss a closing date for the survey, and that's going to be dependent upon whether or not we're sending this mailer out. We can't send the mailer until after the trustees meeting on the 18th, because we would have to get approval for additional funding at that meeting.
How short are we?
I don't know. Do you know?
All I know is the grand total of $2,252.47 was over the estimated 1,500. And it was Lisa that actually brought it up that there was not actually a resolution passed to have the funding for the survey in the budget. So that's why she is asking for a resolution to.
Oh, so
provide
it's
that.
not even a shortfall. It's just.
There wasn't anything in there for the survey because this was after that we appropriated the original budget.
So what if we eliminate people who are on the email list.
Well, he's saying that Lisa wants the resolution passed.
I understand,
Yeah.
but if we only mail to people who didn't get it by email, then maybe half as expensive.
I guess,
mean, I personally don't need it because I got it by email.
Does the mail go to every resident?
I don't know, I believe you guys provided a mailing
So we
list, or was that
provided-
from Lindsay?
we provided a mailing list back in 2022 that included everybody. I don't know if Lindsay has gone through and removed people from that list if they're on the email. I couldn't answer that for you.
I know it was a pretty extensive list.
So help me understand the budgeting process. This money is coming out of the parks?
Correct.
Okay. And how much was set aside for, so is there money that's like in a miscellaneous category at all?
That's what I'm learning is not the case.
There's nothing.
There was
that we can just
nothing,
grab
that's
a
what Lisa,
couple grand.
that's what Lisa told me is since nothing was set aside for media, printing, what have you, there has to be a
There's no
resolution.
category we can grab.
That's what she's telling me. And based on the purchasing policy that she provided, which I can't find, on how I need to fill out a form with the vendor's name on it, so then she will then allocate money to it.
Okay,
Cause I personally was like, I'll just hit it with a credit card.
right.
And then that's when she told me, no, it hasn't been appropriated. Which, that's when I emailed you and was like, we have a hiccup.
Seems that the township ought to have the ability to do something administratively that wasn't specifically appropriated, whether that's in the trustees funds or maintenance funds, that we ought to have some flexibility here.
I agree with that. Cause as crazy as the rules are, I think waiting another 2 weeks is just, hurting the process.
Mhm.
And I was way off on the number of surveys that we got. I just logged into SurveyMonkey right now. We have 165. I'm like,
Oh, nice.
so I was way off.
Can you tell from that how many multiple responses from a household?
Not without downloading the Excel spreadsheet.
But, so it wasn't very prominent that every adult in a household could respond. I'm just wondering when we're gonna get that kind of.
Yeah.
Does that printing cost include mailing?
Yes. The printing itself was $15.92 and change, and then the mailing was another $6.60.
We had what? We had a $1,500 limit.
Well, that was the discussion. But there was no resolution passed for it, was what I'm being told.
But that would exceed what you have available. That's the bottom line that you started out saying.
Currently, there's nothing available, is
Oh,
what Lisa's telling me, because we don't have a specific category for media.
okay.
So she's wanted a resolution to allocate money out of a different budget or a different category for that.
So trying to think creatively, the communications group sends out a mailer quarterly. Why can't we take the money out of their budget and then put money back into their budget in a couple months?
I think that would be the easiest route.
Because that money is appropriated for this purpose.
Mhm.
And then we'll put more money in it when we can do it in 2 weeks. But this way we could make
Right.
that happen.
I agree with that.
Okay.
And then I had originally thought that Lindsay was gonna inquire this and we do something like that, or you guys were gonna inquire it and then somehow bill back.
We're not allowed to do
But-
that. We used to do that, but Lisa got on us because we're not tax exempt. And I know it's
Right.
it's $100 in taxes, but she will not let us
Yep.
be reimbursed anymore.
Okay, so I don't think that we would be overstepping our bounds to do that. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's take the money that's already been designated, and then the trustees can move to replace those funds.
So Jason, are you going to get with Lindsay on that?
Yeah, I can do that.
And that way you can make it a credit card.
Mhm.
Okay.
A thought. I like what just happened, and I'm fully supportive of all that. Zooming out a little bit. This idea of, should we be mailing things to the people in the township? How effective is that, et cetera? But when will we know that we've crossed that line where, mailing something just is not a good use of money? And it seems to me at some point, somebody's gonna have to make a determination that says it's not about mailing or the money, it's about we are doing much better by reaching out to people and using other channels and getting responses from them in other ways. So let's stop sending out cards.
I would say this will be a good indication.
Yeah, does the QR code on the mailer provide a different link so that you can identify who's responding from the card versus who's responding from the web
No.
in it?
No, I can only do one QR code for the survey. But
Can you publish a
you-
duplicate survey and just add the results?
I could, but I think that this will tell, like, we already have 165 from the email going out. The card has not gone out. And so I think you're gonna see after the card goes out, where does this number go?
Those also could be people who saw the sign.
Could be, but I doubt it's very small. I think for our administrative purposes and analyzing the results, I want to keep it to one survey.
How many people responded to this when we did this a couple of years ago? Total?
60. Oh,
Okay.
I can tell you it's all in here.
was it?
Another miscellaneous note while she's looking. So in our household, Joni responded to the email. I didn't get an email and I have yet to respond. That will be eventually corrected along. If a card comes to our house, then we both see it. But just, I don't know how many other households. I suspect it's not just a few.
That's not gonna be perfect, but I mean, I used to work in mail order 50 years ago. And we were very conscious about every time we printed an ad, it had a unique designator. You could track everything and you could tell after 2 days what your overall response is going to be 3 months out. You could just track the curve.
Yeah.
So just for the future, just to keep in mind how to track, the different media that are going out, and that may be Lindsay's responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, we have SurveyMonkey. We are not mail order folks, so we're not. I mean, we're here to provide our survey to you. 359 responses last time, so.
Should we be going through the list then and separating between people who have signed up for email and those that need mailings?
It's up to Lindsay. I suppose.
We have the list, the mailing list, and we know who we're sending emails to.
My view, if we can't fix anything, we're talking about hundreds of dollars here. We've already spent enough time talking about it. I think mail it and get it done as opposed to waste more time but realize, I think the point is good. We need to be good fiscal stewards eventually, which means we have to know how effective the mailing is so that we don't continue to mail for no good purpose and spend $2,000. But my vote would be, let's just put the pedal down and get it out the door and then figure it out later.
So the next issue is the next issue the deadline?
Yes, the next issue is the deadline. So if you get it to Leader Printing this week, my experience is that they will usually print like on a Monday and get it out midweek. So I'm gonna guess it's not gonna go out till midweek next week. Would be my guess.
This is a postcard with a QR code and a simple message.
Mhm.
I think it's gonna be From my understanding, identical to what those signs look like. But I believe this was put together by Molly, right?
Correct. Yeah.
You guys always use leader for the most part, right?
It's something that you guys can look differently at.
No, I mean, not at this point. I just
Yeah.
background.
Mhm.
Because the cards are actually gonna be a 6x11, which personally I think is quite large. I mean, this is 8x11.
6x11 mailing?
Yeah.
It is the political size postcard.
Yeah, that's big.
When it's not political season, it's easier to see and not get lost. When it's political season, it just gets mixed in with everything else, but
So if he prints on Monday the 16th next week, mails it Wednesday or Thursday. From, where is he? Alexandria? How far?
Newark.
Granville, Newark area.
It could take a week or 10 days to actually arrive here. Unless he delivers it. Well, he can't even deliver it. Because there's 4 or 5 different post offices that deliver mail in the township. So it doesn't matter. So if we expect it to actually maybe be delivered by the end of the following week, maybe the 27th. We'll give people a month to.
This is what I find is that most people respond within the first 2 weeks. The 3rd week, it really drops. The 4th week, we get hardly anything. That's my experience with them.
When are you wanting to shut the survey down?
That's what we're trying to decide right now.
End of April.
I would say that if we're gonna have a public meeting at the end of April, beginning of May, that we have to close it no later than the 24th of April.
Before the public meeting.
Yeah.
So people who come to the public meeting go, oh, I didn't respond, and I respond now.
Well, if you want to hold the public meeting earlier, and yeah, we could hold the,
I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't schedule a public meeting simply for the deadline on the postcard. We could always change the deadline more easily than trying to schedule a date out. I guess you'd have to check where we're gonna be meeting, at the Harlem Road Church or Grange Hall.
Is this a specific meeting just for the park stuff?
Mhm. So if we want to, we could probably go on, if you look on the back of your sheet, the public meeting, it'll be allowed for the residents to input on the goal development. And then provide feedback on the information that has been developed so far. We talk about, do we want to show the survey results at the meeting, or do we want to keep the survey open through the meeting? So those are all things we have to decide.
Did we agree as a group to have that? I did miss
It's
that.
part of our scope, yeah,
It's one of the recommendations.
yeah.
Yeah, but did we codify that? I mean, I'm operating from memory and I missed the number of surveys, so I might be off, but I thought we agreed to do the survey, but I don't know if we agreed to do.
I don't think we got that far in conversation last time.
Where I was headed.
Cause my personal opinion on a meeting is if we're gonna get 100 or so people in the survey, how many people are gonna actually come to a meeting? You know, I know of at least probably 4 or 5 right now that would probably go, but you know, to push it out there and actually get people to come for this specific conversation, I think could be difficult.
Than just anecdote. I spent an hour in the park to doing my survey and I talked to every person. I stopped and introduced myself and asked, and I didn't run into one Harlem Township resident in an hour on a Saturday. I ran into lots of people from Sunbury who said that they don't have municipal parking, they'd love to have one. I ran into people from Trenton Township saying they don't have a municipal park, but they love ours. But I did not run into, out of probably 50 people, adults, I did not run into a single Harlem Township resident.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
And
And I started looking because I wanted to get one
right.
beyond myself.
Right?
Like I kept me going, right, until my wife literally, let me back to the car.
And we're inviting survey responses from these people also.
I imagine that each one
Right.
has filled out a survey because they were very passionate. They love our park. They bring the kids. They said, especially Sunbury, and I verified this. Sunbury does not have a municipal park. They have parks attached
Yet.
to church.
Yet.
There's a splash park recommendation.
Well, they have a
And
whole,
another.
they have a whole development going on right now for a park system, but
Right.
we're years
You
out.
know, and so they said they bring their kids here on Saturdays.
Hmm.
So I imagine we have a lot of people from.
And that's one of the questions on the survey.
It should be, yeah, that's right.
Which is good, I think. So to get back to the meeting date and the deadline, I think it's more important, my point, it's more important to be able to give the survey results, final survey results at the meeting. And then to move on from there and maybe get feedback from whoever's interested enough to attend. Here's the survey results. What do we do now? What do you think we should do now?
Right.
That's,
I agree.
That's what we normally do. That is our normal process.
And my going proposition is, I don't see the need for a meeting at this point.
Would you see a need for a meeting at the end when we get the plan done to get feedback, or do you just see not a need for a meeting at all?
I think there's a potential need for a meeting if we want to develop a full strategic plan. But from what I saw at the park, from the flooding issues that were gone, from all just the issues that I saw and the lack of community participation, I think there's a lot. I think the strategic plan has to focus more on how we develop the infrastructure to actually support what we want versus a grandiose vision that we can't produce, which I think is where we could be headed. That's my own perspective over just the last couple of weeks. I have a great vision, right? I want to do it, but producing the vision and getting a lot of feedback with an inability to keep up one part that we have does nothing but hurt our cause instead of help our cause. And so I think that's, I'm just very conscious of getting people together and asking for their opinions and then doing nothing about it. And
I'm concerned with just getting people together.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot going on in life right now, and not that we don't have residents that would come to them to voice, but how many would truly come to participate? What if it could be something through an email?
like we got their input once, right? We give them a card. We've got their viewpoint has been shared. So what additional fidelity do we expect to get out of an in-person exercise other than just occupying their time, spending consulting dollars and doing, if someone can help me fill in that blank of like what fidelity we get, maybe I'll switch kind of my thinking, but that's where I'm.
So I think normally at this meeting, we would just be, at this point, just be talking about goals. That's why I asked, does it make more sense in your mind at the end when we have decided, okay, we've talked to all these residents through a survey and we've come up with some ideas of how to move forward, then getting people together to react to those ideas.
I think, my own opinion, before we do anything significant, we should get people together.
Yeah.
But I don't foresee that point.
Yeah.
Like immediately in front of us.
Right.
And I don't think that not doing it diminishes our capacity to produce a strategic plan or a view.
Yeah. I think with the survey, it doesn't. I think because you're getting the public input through that survey. So.
From our parks, we do with that process you talked about. We do the public surveys, we do internal groups, and we come up with a plan. But before we finalize that plan, when we go to the public and have a public open house, here's what we heard, here's what we're presenting, this is our ideas, this is what we like.
It's that.
That's
you,
what I'm saying. We
if
can
you
change
agree,
too.
let us know if you disagree or we've missed something. Tell us now because we can adjust the plan.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. I think that's even better well said. You have an idea, right? You got something for them to react to.
Yep.
If you don't have anything for them to react to, this is just an open-ended session. So I think I agree with what you just said. That makes sense.
so, John, do you know when the next newsletter is going out?
I do not. But it would be nice to,
If we could
Have
have the
this
newsletter, could have a
coordinated.
summary of what
Yeah.
the survey results were. As
yes, Two things. One, Dan, I hear you saying, hey, there are severe immediate needs that demand our attention and our resources. Yes. And we're not going to have any credibility if we cannot respond to these. Right. So I hear that. And a driver for me is we're in a meeting yesterday with Columbus and New Albany, and New Albany is talking about Rocky Fork Park and how much value they place in that park, and they're talking about planning. And we spoke to our desire to see connectivity between whatever happens here and what's happening down there. And so my point being, there are going to be decisions that are made in the next 12 to 24 months that have strategic implications. So I think that we have to, yes, respond to these immediate needs concretely. At the same time, I don't want to stop the big visioning stuff and the planning because it incorporates and impacts our neighbors. And so I think we have to do due diligence. And also as these development decisions are made and master planning is occurring, we want the stakeholders to buy into this. And I think you might get more of your immediate needs met if they have more ownership here on the front.
I agree with what you're saying. I don't think we
Yeah.
should stop the visioning. What I think we should do is not engage the community too much when we have no capacity to be able to produce on a vision. Right? We've got to be able to have a plan, right? Be able to articulate that plan so that they can react to that plan. So we ask for their opinion on what their needs are. We're doing that now for a vehicle. And I think we're doing it robustly. We get the feedback back. We understand what our strategic plan says as a community. We draft a plan that says, this is what we think we heard you say and what fits with us. And what we want to do is invite you to come and react to this plan. Yes, no, whatever. I think that's kind of the sequencing that my mind steps through. I don't think we should stop big visioning at all. But I also think we should be very conscious about how far we've extended ourselves out there, whether our residents can utilize the park, whether that plan incorporates how to advertise it so they do utilize it in the way I think that's what this group should be doing, coming up with that recommendation. I think that's what I haven't seen the moment. I think absolutely we've got a lot of big decisions to make, but it's sensitivity on getting the community, because you don't ever get that back. You screw that up once and people don't ever come back.
So both sides of these.
That's right on.
But I think what you're touching on, John, is what we would do with a normal comprehensive plan type strategy. We want to make sure we're having multiple meetings in that kind of setting, because you want to make sure you're including the public, engaging in them and helping them come along with that process. And then I think what I'm hearing from you that this parks plan is probably a little bit different from their process, because there's more tangible items to it that you can put something down and people can react to it versus trying to bring them along on a comprehensive and getting their input on how that is done over time versus a one specific project type reaction.
Yeah, we have the opportunity to bring them along through our action. We don't need their blind trust, because the process just takes so long. We can literally take this as an opportunity to show we've taken an incremental step. We like that. Take another incremental step. I like it, and lead people to the vision. That's rare in strategic planning. You usually don't get, it's so far out that you don't get people to feel it. In this instance, you can make people see and feel the change if we structure it properly.
I think it is a little bit different of a process. I get you. I understand.
Paul, this meeting, we're talking about mid-May.
Yeah.
I don't see this as some sort of just, you know, colossal production kind of thing. It's not like we're making, you know, some movie or something that requires thousands of people and all, but you know, it's maybe I'm missing something here, you know. If what kind of buildup is needed, what kind of costs is generally expected when you're gonna have 12 people attending a meeting kind of thing. I guess I'm saying it's not that big a deal to have a meeting where we continue to work so that people are understanding the language we're using, and you know, I still get this feeling that people, you know, they have their thoughts about what should be happening, but it doesn't connect with the real world of, you know, township trustee budgeting and this sort of stuff. That trustees should just buy the land, just do it. No, somebody will pay for it. I hear this so frequently. That's a totally different language than we're trying to use here. I want to help people get more accustomed to that language so that their input can be translated readily into what we do as we develop the plan.
And I think that leans more into what John was saying of you bring people along and you help educate them through that process. So it's a matter of what are you trying to accomplish with this meeting? Are you trying to educate folks? Are you trying to bring them along? Are you trying to give them a tangible product to react to? That's what we have to decide.
You can't educate this township 12 people at a time,
Right.
period, full stop. Not successfully. So unless you can get a meeting that gets a significant number of people together, or you have a specific plan for them to react to, I think you're wasting the number one asset of most people in this township, and that's their time. I don't care about the money. I don't care about the production. Their time is so valuable. You've got to make it valuable to them.
It sounds like we're all in agreement that a meeting eventually is a good idea, but that the results of the survey must come first, really, and be digested by the committee. Why don't we just say, you know, close the survey before our next meeting? And then we start concretizing, solidifying ideas based on our feedback as
When you
a
say
committee,
our next meeting or the next committee.
the next committee meeting, yeah.
That would be April
14th?
14th.
The less amorphous we are with these public meetings, the better, as far as I'm concerned. I attended a very nice meeting in Sunbury once where they laid out on poster boards like that, easels, maybe a dozen different scenarios, you know, and people went around and said, oh, I like this, I don't like that.
Yep.
But everyone was focused,
Mhm.
you know, it's at this intersection.
Mhm.
You know, it's in this neighborhood. So that's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, and that leans more towards what you're saying as far as having something to react to. I'm good with closing the survey so that we have the results to you on April 14th. So we can,
So does that then, that you would think 2 weeks after the mail-in sort is delivered, sort of. Would you close it a day or two, like the Friday before, so you have time to collate it?
so if you don't want like a full written report and we can just print out the Survey Monkey summary, we can close it on the 13th, and have that to you on the 14th. And then we can have nicer, prettier graphs and all that later. Does that work for everybody?
I think that'd be fine. So we're going after data. We
Yeah.
don't need to show.
Right. Yeah.
The longer we could have it open, the better due to the mailing hiccup.
And if you guys get here on the 14th, maybe we don't close it on the 13th. Maybe we just print out what we have. as of the 13th, bring it to you on the 14th, and you guys decide.
We can do that.
Yeah. And then if you guys decide on the 14th, you want to close it, I can sit here and hit close at the meeting, or Molly can, because she'll be here. Or you guys can decide to keep it open.
Power.
So let's just say we'll keep it open and print the results for you.
Let's just do that.
And
So then we'll know where we're at.
So there's really no hard deadline right now.
Have you received Facebook comments?
Facebook comment,
Yeah.
I don't keep track of the Facebook page. I don't know who does do that, you know.
Can we,
Ashley and Lindsay.
can we get interim results? Can we, of the 163, can we get a snapshot of what the 163 people said so we can get thinking on what to do?
Send them out to you.
I'd like to see them.
That's actually my next question is what do we do with these results? You know, what's our plan of action from then?
I think at that point, we look at what we're seeing in the survey to decide if, you know, what direction that the committee wants to go as far as its recommendations. We start creating goals of the plan from that, and then from the goals, we create recommendations. And then at that point, we'd have something tangible for people to react to.
Coupled with, and I don't want to lose John's point because I think it's really important, the external factors. From the top down, what are we hearing from others that would influence our plan and factor that into because that's a piece of feedback too. Right? That's really strong, heavily weighted feedback about opportunities that are sitting out there. And I think those have to be brought to the table with the surveys so that we can then go, okay, great.
Yeah.
We didn't hear it in the surveys, but there's a huge opportunity. We think that it's worth building the plan around that huge opportunity and getting them the community's feedback on.
And I know we've had conversations with your group, we've had conversations with Metro Parks. I think maybe it's another engagement effort with them, Molly reaching out, talking to the other park entities, as well as some of these other external communities to get their feedback. Just so that we have stakeholder input. That's not resident input, it's other stakeholders.
Is there any reason that there couldn't be a section in the CETA agreement having to do with parks?
It very well could be. I think it's a great thing. Yes. And there could be potential for partnerships with park maintenance and park planning that goes beyond what you're doing here,
We need to, because that wasn't one of our takeaways yesterday.
right?
We talked about it, but then we never said, okay, this is a follow through.
Right.
So due out, we really need to remind Brian and Joe, hey, we want to include parks in this agreement.
CETA.
Community Economic Development Agreement with New Albany and Columbus.
Does that also need to be codified in the, and I got the acronym, get it, but the revenue generating community district, the community, what is it called?
Joint Economic Development District.
JED.
The JEDs.
No, the JED's separate. My understanding,
How about
Holly.
the other?
So I am working on a JED in another community where there is commitments going to.
So that you say, some of these funds are gonna go to park
Yep.
infrastructure.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think we could do that. And even the NCA could
And
use that.
that's the
Yeah.
NCAA, that's the.
Okay,
NCA.
New Community Authority.
Okay, I guess I missed the 2 or 3 sentences before that.
Mhm.
I was still hung up on
So the-
CETA.
They're just these economic tools that we are going to put in place, that you create boards that through their bylaws or their charter direct funds to infrastructure in the township. And parks should be included in that.
So the question is, as these are created, how does that influence the strategy that this group will be set? So if we said, we have no money, we have nothing to do, that would generate a certain strategy, right? It would pull. If we had a different structure, it might pull us in a slightly different direction, or at least put additional things for us to consider. I think
So
we'd have
for
to put more
example, we were
into-
talking about one today. at the outlet mall, 50 cents from every $100 spent is put in a fund. And that fund is going to generate $16 million worth of revenue to help build a new interchange across 71. And so you say, well, we're going to take 5 cents out of every $100 or every $1,000. I don't know what you just take
Right.
amount from housing or whatever, and it goes toward infrastructure development. And so then we have money to put behind our strategic plan.
Yeah, that's what it boiled down to in my mind, a dollar sign.
That's it.
Oh, that's what it means. It's money.
Money.
That's all money.
What's the NCA again, please?
New Community Authority.
New Community Authority? Okay.
John, which one is with Galena and which one's,
So we're doing a CETA with Galena and a CETA with, so the Galena one is Galena, Columbus, Harlem. And then we're doing a second one with New Albany, Columbus, Harlem.
and the NCA is just us?
We are going to, typically those are created by developers that are associated with a development in particular, and Holly, she knows way more about this than I do. But we want to create one that the township begins and that we establish the bylaws for, et cetera. And typically on the board, there are 7 members, 7 are from the community, 3 are developers. And they're managed.
And so the way we would require them to join, new developments to join would be through the zoning. So if they want to pull down the cloud, or if they're applying for a separate PUD, there's language in the code that requires them to join this NCA that the township has started. Because I think one of the downfalls from other NCAs in other communities is that there hasn't been this township initiated one, and it's been developer driven, and there's like multiple NCAs within one community with multiple boards, and it gets confusing. So having a centralized NCA will help control that.
Yes.
All right, so I think we've covered the survey, what we're doing with that. We're holding on a public meeting for now. So we've answered that question. So I guess let's talk about your park review sheets. We've heard a little bit about yours. Anybody else want to share?
Well, I distributed mine. I sent out mine on an email. Got one copy here.
Give us a high level review. I saw the email, but
No, oh, no, oh, I don't have any high level. It's all, it's all
It's all.
minutia.
minutia.
That's this.
Ah, okay.
I mean, this was sent as an attachment to the.
Right,
the
to what
email.
Molly gave you.
You
Yeah,
got
that's
it.
what Molly gave you. I just was wondering if you could summarize it, but you don't think you can.
Drainage.
Okay.
Needs attention. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Retrofitting the bleachers to be safety compliant. Restaining the wood in the park, the shelter and the exercise, the fitness stations. Adding handicap parking spots, fixing broken tiles. Punch list on the restroom. Adding, we've already talked about ordering more waste containers, various electrical repairs necessary, moving the little library, replacing the historical plaques at the school memorial. Number of people have talked to me about improving lighting around the track. They can walk at night. They'd like to have a little more light. So there's things needed. Can I say one thing about that, in specific about the restrooms? I went in there last night. Two of the stall doors.
I saw them.
Yeah, what the heck?
Had to been the freeze.
Okay, anyway,
Made
they're
a move.
jammed. They're
Yeah, we're
jammed,
gonna.
so you
we're
can't
gonna-
open them at all.
Yep.
And the
Yeah,
the
I
light
just saw it. I
fixture
just saw it last week.
fell and broke.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Odd things in locked rooms.
Yeah.
All I can contribute that is to the hard freeze we had. Things moved.
Okay. Is that possible? Because I couldn't get them undone.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah, poltergeist. Oh, the Harlem Ghost. Maybe a Revolutionary War soldier. So I don't know, is that helpful? What I just said?
No, it's good. I've got your copy actually here, Ed, and it's really detailed. I actually printed Dan's out as well, and I did a quick walkthrough, not as much as I'd wanted to, just because of timing, but the majority of our facility over there is I say, good, if not fair. And it's the little things of, we don't have handicap parking. We don't have a hard service parking lot. So it opens up the questions of, if we're going to do one thing, we got to do two others before. We have a drainage issue. That's a private property Delaware County issue. We've looking into that, and we can't legally do anything.
Is that true, John?
I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I
don't
sat-
know the answer.
Just I literally cannot.
I sat down with the director of
Yeah.
soil and water, and he specifically told me we can't go on private property with public funds. So unless we strong arm an adjacent property owner, which we can't do, we're at a loss.
So I concur with your assessment, because I think mine have many of the same things, but the single largest thing is the fact that the park is underwater when it rains by feet. And the cause of that is collapsed driveway in the adjacent driveway.
Well,
It's-
and the failed tile that goes all the way to Duncan Run under there.
It's just, well, even the one is just collapsed. Well, and the items required to fix that are sitting in our parking lot. All of them are just right there, the tile. And so, you know, what I heard is that previous attempts had been made through the trustees to get this landowner to repair their driveway. The homeowner said no, and the trustees then would not adopt any future action. That to me is a critical item. Like before if we can't make one park drain right, we're never going to make beautiful parks drain right. So I think we have to put some energy into figuring out how to resolve what actions we take so that our parks can operate in a correct manner. Man, I'd love to get your
Yeah.
feedback, because this can't be the first time this has happened to you.
Right, we have had neighbors approach us saying there's something up with your park that's causing water to back up into our backyard. So we come in and we do our best to repair that and make it drain properly. But we've also had conversations where it's actually neighbor to neighbor is the issue, and it's really, really difficult for one neighbor to tell another neighbor to fix your drainage, or, you know, they can dig their heels in, and now you gotta get an attorney and go to basically court over it. We fix ours whenever we can. We haven't. I'm trying to think of an instance where we had a neighbor that was really causing us an issue. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but
I mean, I would.
we have a landowner that has a bunch of trash that has spilled onto our property, a car of junk piles, and we've approached them with our law enforcement, and they just never cleaned it up. So we just left it. Eventually, we'll probably clean it up ourselves, but it is tricky and it's hard.
Especially with drainage. Drainage is a private matter between two landowners, and the only way to address drainage is through those private entities. So the trustees would have to take action against.
Yeah, let me take a different tack on this. So we've got plugged drainage tiles downstream. And rather than try to unplug that, maybe there's another way of approaching this. A lot of I think there's drainage tile underneath 605. Am I right about this?
Yes.
And that flows from this field.
It's
Under
actually
605.
the whole village comes across into this field to that culvert down that swell. So it's this whole quadrant of land.
So if we take the approach that one way, instead of trying to improve the drainage that way, we reduce the flow going into that by digging a huge detention pond on this side. Huge, which will then meter the water out underneath 605 into the park so that there'll be less flow that way. I think the drainage also goes down 605 in the drainage ditches, and that's a state problem, not our problem. If those drainage ditches don't drain properly, the state's got to fix it.
Correct.
So I would, dig a pond, drain a detention pond on this side. Use the spoils to build an amphitheater next to the pond. Stock the pond so we have a fishing pond. We have an amphitheater for community events. We'll do this at one time. We stock the pond, and then you can have a restaurant that serves fish that comes out of the pond. You want a destination? You
Yeah.
got a destination. So we got an amphitheater, we got a fishing pond,
Restaurant.
and a restaurant, and screw the downstream because he's not going to fix it.
Well, and the big major downstream, as he mentioned, the county tile is failing. And for the county to replace their tile, all the property owners have to agree to pay for it, which is a very long, drawn out process. I mean, they just now started working on a tile north of the village that they started talking about 10 years ago, and it's finally happening.
So I'm not a drainage expert, nor am I a municipal expert of any kind. But I am good at seeing problem.
Right.
The pond, I don't know who that belongs to, the church, who that belongs to, the pond has overflow pipes that are draining into that ditch.
Correct.
And the day that it was under a foot, those pipes were pumping water
Mhm.
into that ditch.
And that pond is connected to the swell at the church.
So all of it just flows in and then flows into that ditch. The only thing preventing water from draining off our park, right? To heck with anyone else, I say in loving quotes, is one landowner's driveway. Right? It would create a flood for everyone else, but it would get the water off of our park. Right? I would volunteer, I don't know who that landowner is. I would volunteer to walk up and talk to that landowner, because that's the kind of person I am, and say, listen, your driveway is collapsed. They literally have to drive around into the grass to get up their driveway because that part is collapsed. I would like to offer you a choice. Choice number one is you can repair your driveway, right? Just repair it and repair the tile. It'll cost you a couple $100, right? Choice number two is I will go to the township trustees and bring up a resolution and force a vote to have it repaired for you. Which would you rather do? I don't know who this person is, but I'm confident that in the ability to talk to my neighbors and talk through. It's impacting the park, it's impacting their neighbor, it's having an issue. I'll go help them try to dig it out myself. Right? We'll find a way through it if everyone agrees to let it happen. But everything else is not a tomorrow, next week, next year kind of solution. That's for the strategy. With the amphitheater, we could put in the strategy. I love that idea. Look, we have parasailing on the pond. But like this week, next week, the thing that's going to build credibility, because the people can't walk in the park and they're like, why the hell are these people asking about what they want in a park? Because the park is under 2 feet of water. That's the problem we have to address. So I think we need to we can't, no is not an acceptable answer. The park flooding is not an acceptable answer. We have to engage the person, we have to document their position, then we have to decide what our options are based upon that documented position and easements and whatever lawyers are. I'm just really passionate about solving problems, and that is a huge problem that will affect the strategy, our credibility, and everything else. Cause I
Right.
watched people walk up, get out of their car, look, get back in their car, and they left.
But
So-
I guess my problem with that solution is that you may not solve the problem because the drainage is not fixed further downstream.
And that's the homeowner's position.
And so
No sense
it-
fixing my driveway
Because it's
because
gonna
the
back
whole,
up.
because
But
the
it's-
whole ditch needs attention. Now, wait a minute, now we can, the county has a process for this, and it does take time, as Jason said, filing a ditch petition. It only costs a couple of $100 to
Which
file.
they did originally, didn't that, where you got the report from Brett? That you shared
We,
with the recommendations?
we had a public meeting proposing a ditch
Right.
petition, but there were a number of outspoken owners that didn't want to be assessed costs. And the property owner that would be charged the most in this case would be the township. Almost all of the township property goes to that one ditch on this side of the street and the other side of the street. And you're charged by your acreage or your benefit from that drainage tile. But that's the only way it's going to get fixed,
I agree.
is
with
if the entire system is analyzed professionally. No sense fixing that driveway. I mean, right now he's got two 12-inch pipes that are always plugged with leaves and branches. Oh, you could, okay, so put in a 30-inch pipe. Well, that's going to get plugged unless you're out there every day cleaning it, plus the underground tile. In other words, analyze the entire thing and get it straight.
But you said that's been done, right?
We
analyzed-
tried, no, we had kind of a look-see and
How, and
analysis.
how did that fail?
Did it go to public hearing?
No,
Then- then I
a
think that-
formal petition was not put in. The trustees did not want to put one in at
Well,
that
I
time.
think maybe we need to discuss that. I mean, I think the ditch petition is probably the only way that we can get this to.
Let's do it.
Yeah, and I think that requires a formal public hearing. Either every landowner has to sign off on it. Or it requires a public hearing by the commissioners, and then the county commissioners have to make the decision of whether or not they're going to assess. And that's when folks come out and they start, they don't want to pay, and then it puts pressure on the commissioners. So that's all the stuff that we have to take into
Yep.
account.
So who
So-
needs to initiate this? The trustees?
Somebody, an owner, a
Yeah.
property
Oh,
owner.
you're an owner, so I think you can.
So we can
it.
initiate the process.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I know, Dave has a lot of experience with that, Jackson. I could maybe pick his brain if he's out of the Sunshine State.
Yeah, well, we need to get going.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I think Dave, the one time that I talked to Dave about it, he was not very optimistic that you could get a ditch petition passed.
Right.
We could. Go ahead.
Thank you. I think right where we are here,
Mhm.
this is a really big problem. And thinking that, I think that's the point that needs to be clearly made coming out of our review of the park here. And it's not going to go away because we say it's a really big problem, but same time, it's not something that is out of sight. Pushing this back into the closet where nobody can see it is exactly the wrong thing to do, saying, well, there's nothing we can do right now. It may be true, but it's still a big problem. The other thing is the drainage that goes under 605, as I understand it, is subsurface. The pipes that go under the driveway are above that surface. So I'm not sure that the two pipes that are insufficient and don't manage things well. I don't know exactly how they fit into what level the water gets to before it is draining through there and how all of that works. I'm not understanding that clearly. I don't think we understand clearly from here to there how well that subsurface tile, how big it is, how well it's working. I don't know how that connects to drainage that comes out of the park. We have a drainage field there. And we need, there's a lot of factors here that we can keep working on as far as what drainage is going to be required as we push forward. Where are we going to? Improving drainage, yes, but how much of it is a problem here? And at this point, I've not been able to get my hands down on that subsurface pipe, so I can't measure what goes through it. I think, you know, I want to see us move forward, but there, I think, are a lot of other ways we can do that. I don't want us to fixate on the one
Agreed.
thing that probably is where we're gonna be eventually.
I agree. I think we've documented as an issue. Trustees probably need to discuss it.
Yeah, it's gonna be on the agenda next week.
Well, can I move that we recommend to the trustees that they file the ditch?
I think
petition?
that's a good
I
idea.
second.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Put your notes. And I'll dig up the documents you sent Ed shared from Brett years ago. And
Yeah, did I send
you
his?
put him in the link when they came up a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So, and I'll reach back out to Brett as well.
All right, so do you have all of these or?
I only have mine, Ed's, and Dan.
so I didn't. I handwrote mine, you want me to send it to you?
It sounds like she might want them.
I want them too,
Okay.
yeah,
I don't have mine.
okay.
I am. Been wrestling with. A list, trying to find ways that I can convey things in terms of different levels, different scales.
Do you have a handwritten one?
We get volunteer help, we do things that, you know, make good sense for the park.
Was it make a copy?
Spreading
I'm gonna
the-
copy of it if she really wants them.
Staying, we do things, but then it comes to. You know. I can't compare restaining the gazebo to the flooding in the park. That there are two issues there,
Mhm.
but it's not just that they're different issues,
Right.
they're at such difference, so that's kind of where I've been stuck and I've had. Way too much on my agenda anyway, but. I think as we, you know, that's where I hope to in the next week or so. You can get some notes down and eventually get this back to you. It's not gonna look a lot different
Yeah.
from Ed and Dan, so, because, again, walk through their use. They're making observations that are really clearly needed, and I'm seeing the same sort of thing.
Dan, did you email yours?
I did.
Okay, I don't remember seeing yours, but I'll go back and look for it. Okay. Well, then we will take and compile them all, and, we can decide, you know, maybe like what you're saying, create different categories, different levels, and place those things, and those and report on at the next meeting. The last thing that we had on our agenda was this Sonic activity, but I don't think we have time for it. So we can delay that till the next meeting if you guys want to do that.
I mean, you know how much time you need to do that. Okay, since we're still kind of on the existing conditions report,
Mhm.
I realize I didn't write on here. Actually, my number one concern, and that is the resolution of where township facilities will be. And the land use. What am I trying to say? You know, we're talking about maybe expanding the firehouse at one point. We're talking about a new maintenance building. We've got an empty lot there where the concrete plant used to be. You know, as a park committee, it's hard to go past our postage stamp size property until we have a grander vision of this area, immediate area. So that it's a long-winded way of saying, you know, how's the township going to situate itself and its facilities?
Your concern is spot on. And that is part of the master planning for Center Village, which I believe will occur in the next 2 to 3 years. So I think 18 to 24 months. My hope would be that we have spent considerable effort thinking about those problems and in making those kinds of plans and casting that vision. So we have to be a little patient to get our ducks in a row, because we have the southwest corner of the township that's going to require our immediate attention. I think Center Village comes soon after that, if not simultaneous to or with, but it's just going to take us a little while, Ed. And we just need to be careful not to be premature in some of these crucial decisions right now.
I think that goes hand in hand though with this drainage issue. You know, when I was thinking about it last night, you know, for the common good, if the township were to make the case in front of the county commissioners that it is for the common good that ditch be overall analyzed and improved. How so? Oh, well, we plan to develop the east side.
Yes.
Or, you know, we plan to do this and everything goes here. So, you know,
So I think that we can make that case without saying, here's the plan.
okay.
Because we can say it just the way you just said it.
Yeah.
This is going to be planned, but we got to solve this problem and we need to do it now. We're way behind the 8 ball.
Not only is it affecting the future plans, it's affecting your current park.
Yeah, we can't, this has got to be fixed.
So, and I don't disagree at all with your point. Let's look at this in a very careful way. I think you're making really valid point here. As development is being reviewed and as we're working with developers, as we're working with township citizens and all of this, we need to build this case that every time we have a review for a development of an area, how can we ensure that we are increasing the availability of parks and providing more of that very valuable asset to more people in this community. So wherever they put the new maintenance building, okay, I want to make sure that somehow parks are benefiting from that. It may not be that community park there, or it may be that that's where we want to put the focus. But at any rate, we should think township wide. If we don't get all the issues solved there, but we get a 60-acre park somewhere else with lots and lots of facility stuff and have money that allows us to develop it, I'm okay if we keep working at that community park for, you know, a couple more decades and we finally find ways to resolve things. It's that balance.
Can I build on this? Can I make a request? Next meeting, can we have for each committee member either on the map that was provided or just in a list, all open parcels of land that the township holds, so that at least myself can start thinking about parks. I don't think we can do that until I understand. For instance,
I've already got a switch.
next to the cemetery, Center Village, the township owns a quarter wooded acre, which is never going to be, probably be a cemetery, right? It's interesting as I think about parks, pathways. The township owns a half an acre next to cemetery up the road. It's sitting across from a brand new development of houses who I think would love to have a park across the street from all of their houses. I did not go meticulously down the auditor's records to find all of them, but I think to see it all on a map and just see where is it situated, how is it, I think would be valuable as we think about a next step.
Get that for you from Brilliant, that's no problem.
Cool.
I think that will really help lead into your next meeting, looking at that, doing the sonic activity, then we'll start looking towards the future versus all of the existing stuff. Yep. Okay.
Before we move
Agreed.
on, I wanna, put this article in the record so it gets into the minutes. This was from the Canton Repository on last Saturday.
From where, please?
The Canton Repository,
Canton Repository.
that's the name of the newspaper.
I see.
Um,
Very dignified.
They have, their own Plain Township. Not the one south of here, so Plain Township, Western Reserve Land Conservancy team up to buy wetlands. And I'll give you the article. And just the key points. Plain Township has purchased nearly 47 acres of land using grant money to prevent development on that land. The property contains high-quality wetlands and is home to 4 endangered bat species, according to Western Reserve Land Conservancy. The purchase was made to protect wildlife, preserve water quality, and mitigate potential flooding. Funding for the $900,000 acquisition came from conservation grants, not from local property taxes. And it goes on to say the township used grants from the Ohio Public Works Commission and the Western Reserve Land Conservancy to pay for the land. And then conditions of the grant funding prohibit any construction of buildings on the property. It will never be developed into a park that people can visit with a parking lot and restrooms. So this is,
Will never be.
will never be. So it's a different vision of a park. It's
Mhm.
really undeveloped. And that's the condition of the $900,000 grant. I think most of the money came from the Western Reserve Land Conservancy. I don't know that there's a land bank in Delaware. Equipment. You have the Nature Conservancy.
Yeah, we acquire a lot of land through OPWC, the Ohio Public Works Commission. We build parks on that land, but there's stipulations written in that there are gonna be trails, and if we're gonna build a shelter in a parking lot, it's gonna be in this corner, and they may not pay for that portion of that land. So there are funds out there, and you can,
Can a township
I believe so,
can apply for
I
them?
believe so, yeah.
Townships can apply for OPWC funds, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do a lot for the roadways.
So if anybody wants to read the article, but I'll just have it attached to the minutes so that I thought it was interesting in terms of how to fund this kind of set aside without using property taxes.
Do you write the grants?
We do,
Okay.
yeah, we.
Do you do
prepare our
that
grants.
in collaboration with municipalities?
Since the land that we're purchasing will be parks only,
Mhm,
we asked for letters of support,
mhm.
but it's not really a joint application, but we definitely reach out to regional planning, the local township, local cities, soil water, health department, all those folks we're asking for letters of support, so that agency knows that what they're gonna help you buy is something that the whole bigger community really is in favor of.
So are you looking at the strategic plan of, let's say, a Harlem Township, and you know they want to acquire parkland? And so you proactively help that process?
Well, if it's gonna be a preservation park.
Right.
If the Harlem Township is hey, we have a piece of property we wanna have for our township, we'd be happy to lend our support, write a letter of support to you, give you an example of what we submitted that's been successful. So you have a template to go from versus starting from scratch.
Mhm.
We definitely can do all that, but we don't write the grant for the township.
But if you flipped it, it
Right.
would be your park.
Yeah,
We have the need, we've got the land.
so we're
But
good
it's
if
gonna
it's,
be your park.
we're good if it's your park.
Well, if there's a piece of property in the township that is really appealing to us, and you've identified it fits all of our criteria, size, and just, we have lots of things to consider. Yeah, and if it wants to come to us for free, absolutely, if it's something that's.
How proactive are you in that endeavor?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've been spoke to townships about, hey, if you know a beautiful piece of property that you think should be in a preservation park, tell us about it, and we'll have discussions. I don't think we go out and say, hey, township, find us land. We don't really do that. Find us land, write our grants for us. We haven't asked
Is
township
there
to do
any
that.
interest in doing that on a joint basis?
I mean, we do partner with other townships. Liberty Township, we have a park that's directly adjacent to Liberty Park, Deer Haven. They touch, and we have our driveways are connected.
But if we develop, if there'd be a development opportunity to say, listen, it will be a preservation park in the end, but we'd like to partner with you on the process and leverage resources. Is that something you would do or would consider or have considered?
I think we definitely would consider it. I'm not sure if we have an example of that in our park system currently. The way we acquire land is, we've had donations. We buy the land is at that just regular going rate. We have subdivisions that will donate land to us. They're open space because they don't want to maintain it, so they'll donate it to us. So lots of different ways we acquire land for our parks. Key is that for us to take it on as a park, it needs to check our boxes for what we
Sure.
do.
Sure.
But it could be collaborative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm never sure how far to go with this, but we have a 100-acre area in this township that could be a very nice park, is now privately owned and is actually labeled a preserve or a retreat.
I have a beep that's been put in my bonnet in that regard, and I'm pursuing that.
Well, I want to say, could the township encourage the
Certainly.
exploration of that
It-
idea? I mean,
That's,
to me, that would really solve a lot of our issues as far as expansion goes, if expanding is what we wanted to do.
Don't know, Ed. I think. Be careful what you wish for. If somebody gave it to us, I think it would cost us $1.5 million. And maybe that'd be the best $1.5 million we've ever spent in this township, but I want to make sure that we don't come across as just trying to, lead people along with some bait and switch on something here. It is a great park, and I would, it really, we have to do everything we can to try to make sure it continues to be a great park here. But yeah,
It's a hidden gem,
yes,
and it could be more widely known and used by residents. However the township could encourage that happening, I'd be in favor of. Okay.
I am gonna have to run in about 5 minutes because I have.
You got anything else you want to push?
Anything else, because we're pushing the Sonic activity to the next meeting, so I have what I need from you guys. So, appreciate it.
I was contacted by our church, Ben Robinson, sent me an email that they want to have their service day again and have volunteers helping the park cleanup, such and park maintenance. This year, what's only gonna work for them is April 26th. So.
Soon.
Sunday, and it'd be after church. I wanna tell them absolutely yes, we'll find stuff, but I want, looking for ideas. I'm not sure that mulching and is necessarily the most priority there. But a little mulching probably isn't gonna hurt.
Thank you.
I'm not sure that, there's some staining and painting that could be done, and I think that can be helpful as long as we're
Mhm.
not trying to paint everything every year. I'm also wondering possibility of having them get into Harlem Cemetery and lightly clean several of the rows of the headstones. I think we have standards in place that we can specifically spell out to them. This is how it's gotta be done, and I think they've been doing this from time to time, using standards similar to that. This isn't, these are the kinds of things that I think, we can suggest to them. But my schedule between now and then, I'm not gonna be available most of the time on this, so I'm not quite sure. I want to tell them yes, and we'll work with you, but I not want to promise to them that we're going to have a lot of people available on April 26th.
I would definitely tell them yes. And we'll try to fathom things together.
Got another meeting before then, well, on the
Mhm.
14th, when we're all here, we'll put together a list of.
Yep.
Of what they could do in a day. And there's plenty of time for them to organize themselves. I mean, there's always staining.
Well, staining the fitness stations, maybe the gazebo, I don't know, it's been 2 or 3 years. And certainly the picnic shelter could be spruced up.
Maybe, Jason, is there a list in the maintenance department that is kept of
Not yet.
volunteer ready,
It-
but
it
to
ju-
keep volunteers focused on things that don't slow you down kind of activities?
Last year was the first year I was involved with it,
Okay.
and we pushed more of mulching and staining. And that's more mulching than
Some
anything
people can
happened.
Succeed at.
Well, and groups of people, you've, in my experience, if you give people ordinary tasks, they lose interest and then they don't want to do it. And if you don't want to do what you're volunteered to do, you're not going to do it with any pride. So as we did mulch last year, we bought pallets and stuck them around the track. Cause if I got a semi load of mulch in the driveway, well, here's your wheelbarrow, here's your shovel. It's 97 degrees outside. Have a good time. You're not going to do that. Or if I put the bags right next to the trees, they went at it.
Yeah.
So, but we came up with a list last year of things, most of it involving staining and surface maintenance. That's kind of where I'm at. If we want to get them involved in the cemeteries, I wouldn't see a problem with that, but I think it would take more oversight. Whether that comes from us or from them. I mean, they are a
Okay.
church, they are, they have the reasoning behind them, but to just put 15 people in Harlem Road Cemetery, things might happen. But you don't know if you don't try, and you definitely don't say no to volunteers.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Matt, we'll see you.
So, but yeah, I have no problem with that.
It's nice of him to sit in with us, isn't it?
Good information.
But if we want to call the meeting, I'll get Ashley to turn the video and then we can discuss.
Have us out.
So if we're all good with what we've had,
So I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Yep.
I as well.
And I got a couple of quick questions for you.
Yeah, I got mine.
Good. I was hoping I wasn't gonna have to chase you into the bathroom.
Darius, you were gonna start work. Well, did I write that down?
Yes. We have started work. Well, started with an air quotes, we have stones that have been ordered. So we have
Stones, like,
two foot stones for 2 soldiers that whose markers are permanently unreadable,
yeah.
have been ordered by the Veterans Administration. So those